Now, proper shops, where you actually go in, look at things, touch them and buy them, no clicking needed, have been in trouble for a while. Figures today suggest the coronavirus pandemic has made things much worse. Unsurprisingly, figures published by the local data company and the advisory firm PwC show that on average more than 60 stores closed per day. Kate Hardcastle is a retail expert for Insight with Passion. Good morning, Kate.
Hi, good morning.
Which areas were worst affected?
I think mainly we need to look at these figures and understand that these were marking not just what's hit with COVID, but a complete era of change when it's come to the way that we shop, and that COVID's accelerated change that was afoot. What we've seen is particularly the heaviest hit being city centres, where workers obviously have just been removed from the picture. So there's no lunchtime coffees, there's no coffees on the way into work, there's no dwell time after work for shopping. And that's been significant when we look at these closures. The majority of the closures have come from big change though, and we've got to understand that the change is going to be driven very much by consumer spending, and it's how much we adopt and take forward what is going to be the new future for these places, and if there's enough capacity and investment to be able to make them places to be rather than places to shop.
I suppose one of the problems is that there is going to be a lag between all these shops realising that they can't stay in business and someone having the kind of foresight or the vision to transform them into something else. I have seen, like on my own local high street, I have seen that happen. I have, you've seen people adapting to our needs currently. But so many of the shops that have closed are just empty and have been for months.
There's a great involvement. You could ask, is it a case of people adapting quickly, or is it a case that we haven't had enough foresight to be able to make these changes that could have been afoot? If we look at John Lewis's 5-point plan that was announced last week, it radically talks about changing the business in terms of things like becoming a landlord, of which it would create household rentals within its own property portfolio as a potential way forward, and increasing financial services. It sees itself as being 70% online in the next 5 years as a business. So I think there's a clear direction of travel for the consumer. The fact is, if consumer patterning was the fact that when these stores reopened, there was a huge whelm of people who wanted to go, yes, I want to go back, I feel really good about our shopping offer, I think you would start to see that. And I think where we've seen positivity, where there is green shoots, is that the makeup of the UK is now becoming littered with smaller indie retailers, which add to the vibrancy and the creation of local place and difference in local place. What you may lose is the homogenised high street, where you've got the same chain stores with 4 or 5 branches in big city centres, and you get out of a train station. I travel all over the UK, and sometimes you don't even know where you are. It's kind of a forced evolvement. But when we've had 5 high street ministers in nearly 6 years, one could ask, with the billions of pounds, I think certainly millions of pounds spent, it was the right change afoot, because a lot of this information was available to us in the industry. We could see the way that it was going, and it was almost this forced resistance of some retailers to say, well, this is the way we've always done it. We just kind of keep pushing down this direction of travel, and the consumers given clear signs that wanted something different.
Yeah, and we are talking today, as we have been for some time, about further restrictions, potentially a circuit breaker at some point nationwide. If we do keep going in and out of restrictions and circuit breakers, what will that mean for the high street that it doesn't already?
Well, there's so many parts of that. The local authorities, of which I've supported outbreak teams, just absolutely mind blown with the amount of work and capacity that's required to deal with the very important issues right here, right now. So have they got the capacity to be able to work out and evolve with bid teams, etc., what the future of their particular city looks like? Do they have the capacity to understand that actually the whole of the UK can't be the same? Each village, town and city centre should be evolved around the particular makeup of place and the demographic of place, and that needs evolving. Is there enough strategies in those boardrooms, a lot of which have been developed without even any consumer feedback or involvement, to get the plans underfoot? And is the investment there when we're dealing with a huge pandemic nationwide? I think probably what's going to happen is actually this change will evolve through an entrepreneurial maverick spirit, and the consumers will help to evolve it. It would be lovely to think those city centres could have been established by now, where you see more green open spaces, more nurseries, more doctors, more social entertaining, more social use that has an element of retail combined in it, rather than just the whole of a place has to hang its hat on retail and hospitality.
Yeah.
But this isn't the way I wanted to see it happen. No one did. This is a huge change, and unfortunately we're losing good businesses as well as some of the ones that were cash shy.
Yes. Kate, thank you very much for that. Really interesting. Kate Hardcastle, retail expert for Insight with Passion.